You know what Pox really needs? More cats. Hello and welcome back. And I have heard the voice of the people, and they have said that they want even more Pox. So I was actually watching 3BinU's journey through the various Pox decks showcasing Humidity and Hatchery, and saw this crazy Orzhov cat Pox list, and I'm just like, okay, I gotta try it. So today we have Orzhov cat Pox for all of you. So this is kind of an interesting take on Pox that is looking to use the cat energy package that you see in the energy decks to be able to synergize with the downsides of playing Smallpox. So the way that it plays around the downside of Smallpox is you have token generators in the form of a Johnny, Voice of Victory, Ocelot Pride, Orcish Bowmasters to be able to sacrifice not real creatures to your Smallpox. You also have Guide of Souls to gain life to negate the life loss from Smallpox and from Humidity and Hatchery. So try to combine the synergy of the energy shell to negate the downside of Smallpox, because Smallpox is symmetrical, to be able to break the symmetry and control your opponent while not experiencing the downsides that you normally would in a Pox shell. Additionally, because we have all of these token generators that also work without necessarily needing to cast spells in the case of Voice of Victory and Ocelot Pride, you are able to build your board even after completely stripping both yours and your opponent's resources with your discard, your Smallpox, your Wastelands, and all of that. So you can keep a board presence and finish the game out while your opponent is trying to rebuild after you have destroyed their resources. So to back all of this up, we have some pretty typical Orzhov style spells in the form of removal and Swords to Plowshares and Static Prison to synergize with the energy theme that we have going on, discard with Cabal Therapy and Thoughtseize, and a little bit of fast mana to flood the board as quickly as possible and to get to your game ending 2-drops as quickly as possible in the form of some Lotus Petals and a Chrome Mox. Mana base is your pretty typical Orzhov stuff here. You've got a bunch of fetch lands, scrublands, plains, a shadowy backstreet for a little bit of selection, a couple of silent clearings to be able to get some kind of card draw into the deck, because you will be running on empty very quickly after you have stripped your opponent of all their resources using your discard and your Smallpox and your Wastelands. So just a way to kind of catch up and get back in after you've kind of established control of the game. Full playset of Wastelands to be able to attack your opponent's mana base. Some Karakuses to be able to deal with the Reanimator and Sneak and Show style decks to be able to get legendary creatures off the battlefield, and of course a full playset of Humidity and Hatchery to be able to synergize with your Smallpox. The deck also has Orcish Bowmasters. It generates tokens, it acts as a surprise attacker or blocker, and it punishes the blue card draw decks that are running around the format. A Johnny Nakatl Pariah, again, creates tokens. You flip it onto the backside, just keep the tokens coming. There are things you don't really care about sacrificing to Smallpox. If you have a Guide of Souls, it's a constant source of life gain to be able to get back into the game if you're low on life, or to be able to negate the life that you're losing due to Humidity and Hatchery. And the funny thing is we actually can ping things with a Johnny, even though there are no actual red cards in the deck. The tokens you get off of Voice of Victory are red. So if you get in with a Voice of Victory and then activate your Johnny, even though you have no actual red cards in the deck, because the tokens are red, you actually still can get the damage out of a Johnny with it. Sideboard is just a bunch of stuff to be able to fight various matchups you're expecting here. You've got Deafening Silence for Storm style decks, some more removal with Static Prison to be able to get rid of pretty much any kind of non-land permanent, March of Otherworldly Light for some additional removal, Dauthi Voidwalker and Fairy Macabre to respect all of the graveyard decks that are running around, Null Rod to stop all of the artifact decks that are running around, and one of in the sideboard that when I first saw, I was a little confused why it was in the deck, but then once I actually watched Phil's deck tech, I understood the point of it, and that is Pegasus Stampede. And what this card does is it creates tokens, so it puts creatures on the battlefield and not real creatures to be able to sacrifice to your Smallpox. But the key here is that buyback ability. So if you're unfamiliar with buyback, it is an additional cost you can pay to put the spell you are casting back in your hand instead of it going to the graveyard. And the fact that it's buyback sacrifice a land, it is another way to be able to sacrifice your Eumidian hatchery to be able to get the tokens from it if you don't have a Smallpox or you don't have a Wasteland to destroy it yourself. So cool little sideboard tech here. We'll see if it pops up or not, but it definitely caught my eye when I saw it in this deck list. But that is Orzhov Cat Pox for Legacy. Let's take this through a league, see how this Pox variant feels, and how it compares to some of the other ones I've been playing on the channel lately. I'll catch you all in the wrap-up. Play any of the decks you see on this channel with a Mana Traders rental subscription. With a variety of tiers to fit any budget, Mana Traders lets you play whatever you want in whatever format you want. Use code DasSourKraut at checkout and become a better player today. Alright, let's go. Fair warning, I got home from a work trip late as hell last night, so I'm currently running on 4 hours of sleep and enough caffeine to kill a horse. So there's going to be a fair amount of rambling today while I attempt to make my brain work here. But that said, let's get some cat poxing in. And we are on the draw. I actually like this hand quite a bit. We'll go ahead and keep this. We're probably going to start off with Marsh Flats into Scrubland into Guide of Souls. Follow that up with a Johnny or the Ocelot Pride. We'll just see what our opponent does. If they play a land that we need to Wasteland right off the bat, we'll start with that. And it looks like they might. It's just going to be a question of, do we want to take the turn off to kill this Urza's Saga? They already have a Grindstone in play, so we're not preventing them from finding another one. What goes wrong here? If we don't, they can slam Painter next turn. I think we're going to go ahead and just Wasteland here, get them off the Urza Saga, cut that off as a route to be able to take over the game, and we'll just play a turn behind. Like, the Grindstone doesn't do anything as long as they don't have a Painter. And we might be able to mana screw them a little bit here. Okay, another Urza Saga, so be it. In that case, then, I think we're probably just going to play Scrubland, or, hear me out, Wasteland number 2. We still have a shitload of lands. Hopefully we're running them out of lands. That is also 2 win cons out of their deck now. Alright, tapped Arena of Glory from our opponent. That is pretty good. Can we rip Wasteland number 3 off of the top? Opponent just said, fair. Opponent was just like, double Wasteland, fair. It's like, I'm trying to do what I can with a fair deck here. So we played Scrubland into Guide of Souls. So what we might do here is actually just go grab another Scrubland, Guide of Souls, Ocelot Pride, and just start amassing energy as quickly as possible. Great Furnace from the opponent, so we didn't successfully mana screw them at all. Goblin Engineer is a little annoying. This would also kind of suck if we end up drawing a Smallpox, because we'd lose our Guide of Souls, but we would absolutely need to play Smallpox if we draw it. I'm kind of hoping for a removal spell here, something like a Swords to Plowshares. Voice of Victory is interesting. I don't think we want to do that. They would need 4 total mana to be able to activate Grindstone and then flip it. They could do that if they hit a Soul Land. But I think we're just going to... We could also a Johnny here if we wanted to. We're going to grab a Scrubland. It's just a matter of, do I want to Guide of Souls Ocelot Pride, or do I want to try to a Johnny and then Voice of Victory? I think we're just going to go aggro here. We're going to do another Guide of Souls and just hope that they don't have a Soul Land. Always yield to this. Play an Ocelot Pride. Get some more energy. We're already up to 3 energy. We can send this thing into the air already, which is probably what we're going to do. Just start getting the beatdown in, and just hope that we can find an answer for Goblin Engineer or something before they can hit 4 mana. Yeah, we're going to send this bad boy to the air, and then we will ship the turn. Sideboard, I feel like we have much better options, but being on the draw in game 1 feels really rough up against something like Painter. And they just have the Soul Land. So if you don't know what they're going to do here, they're going to activate Grindstone, then they're going to flip the Grindstone into a Painter. So, and they need 4 mana to be able to do this, because they need 3 to activate Grindstone, 1 to activate Goblin Engineer. So we'll go ahead and concede. We don't want to show them the rest of our deck. Not that they couldn't probably figure it out from what we have, but... a little annoying. We'll go ahead and grab Null Rods. We'll grab Dothy Voidwalker and Fairy Macabres. I don't think we need to worry too much about counter magic-y style stuff, so we can take out the Voice of Victories. And we can honestly probably take out the Orcish Bowmasters. Phyrexian Dragon Engine is our only real draw engine, so we're not really punishing them with Orcish Bowmasters. So bring in our Graveyard Hate, bring in our Artifact Hate. Yes, there is a nombo between Lotus Petal, Chrome Mox, and Null Rod. But at this point, these are basically just serving as a way to accelerate out Null Rod on turn 1 if we can. So let's try that. Alright, give me a turn 1 Null Rod deck. It's not a turn 1 Null Rod, but it is a turn 1 Dothy Voidwalker with a little bit more Graveyard Hate, followed up by a Smallpox if I need it, but I don't have any white mana for the Static Prison. Voidwalker does shut down a lot of their graveyard-based lines. Is this worth it is the question. I don't think it is. I think it's a little too wonky here. Okay, we have a Swords to Plowshares, and we have an Ocelot Pride. I think we're going to keep this, bin one of the Ocelot Prides, because we can turn 1 Guide of Souls, Ocelot Pride, turn 2, if we draw a land, a Johnny. Otherwise, we just hold up Swords to Plowshares. And I think we're going to grab a Scrubland. We're kind of beyond the point of wanting to try to play around Blood Moon. And we will just dump all of this out. If they have a Fury, this is absolutely devastating. But it is what it is. Okay, no Fury yet, and we're going to get to hold up Swords to Plowshares by the look of it. If we hit another land, we can just slam a Johnny. And we do hit another land, so I think we're going to take a turn off, slam a Johnny, just try to go aggro as hell here, and beat our opponent down before they can get their combo online. They could have a Lightning Bolt, and they could be debating if they want to kill the Ocelot Pride or the Guide of Souls here. And they're going to Lightning Bolt the Guide of Souls. Okay, that's fine. We still get 2 cats. We still get to attack with Ocelot Pride in the token to get another token. And now any burn spell aimed at a cat other than a Johnny flips a Johnny. If we untap, we have protection for a Johnny. And we are very quickly working our way up to the City's Blessing. We're already at 7 permanents. Goblin Welder, okay, we have an answer for that. That's not a problem at the moment. 2 mana, Agatha's Soul Cauldron. Okay. I mean, that's fine for now. Like, they can put a counter on the Goblin Welder, and then I can just kill it in response. We hit another Ajani. So I think we're going to go ahead and get in. See what they want to do. See if they want to block and pump the Goblin Welder. And if they do, we will Swords it. Or are they just going to let this go through? No, they're going to eat the Guide of Souls. We will go ahead and Swords the Welder. I probably should have waited until the first strike damage went through so that I could get a token off of this, but I didn't want to give them any more life than I had to. So that was a mild punt on my part. Great Furnace. Paid 2 mana and then passed phases. Okay, they skipped up to that. I'm not sure what was going on there, but they floated some mana, then passed phases without untapping. But we managed to get that. That said, is there anything else we want to bring in? I'm debating if we want to bring in these additional Static Prisons as even more removal. Like, we can probably bring one in, take out the last Orcish Bowmasters. I'm really wondering if these Fairy Macabres are worth it, but they do have a lot of graveyard synergies, so I feel like they probably still are. We could also bring in additional removal in the form of March of Otherworldly Light if we wanted to take some other stuff out. Like, Smallpox is honestly a bit of a liability in this matchup, but it can take out, like, small individual threats. I think we do want the Marches. You know, I think we're going to just overload on removal. We will take out the Smallpoxes. Honestly, even though it's the namesake of the deck at this point, they can go so wide so fast that I feel like this is going to hurt us more than it's going to hurt them. And they have a bunch of fast mana, so I think we're just going to try doing something like this. Alright. Double Wasteland, Fairy Macabre, March of Otherworldly Light. No colored mana, but if we find colored mana, we can kind of pop off. The question is do we think we can mana screw our opponent? We do say they have a good amount of basics. Just so iffy on this one. Like, if we can find colored mana, this is so good. I think it's a trap. We're going to mulligan. Okay, we will keep this. We've got a Null Rod. I don't think we are a Johnny gaming anytime soon. Or we could put back the Dothy Voidwalker because we don't have double black. I think we're going to put back Dothy Voidwalker. We don't have double black at the moment. And we're going to hope that a turn 1 Static Prison followed up by a turn 2 No Rod does something. Or just hope that they don't do anything at all and we find some fast mana. Okay, that's a Wasteland. Do I want to drop the Ocelot Pride already? I think I do. They're not on board yet, and if they direct a burn spell at that, that's mostly fine. And at this point, we also don't super care about them Blood Mooning, because we just need 2 generic mana. Like, if they Blood Moon, it sucks. Okay, Lightning Bolt at the Ocelot Pride. That's mostly fine. It's a removal spell out of their hand. Another Mountain into a Goblin Engineer. Okay. The question is did they bring in artifact removal, I'm wondering. Phyrexian Dragon Engine. Okay. So what does Phyrexian Dragon Engine do? They need another thing before they can get it back from the graveyard. We can always get rid of it with a... whatchamacallit. Like, I'm tempted to slam No Ra, but if they have any artifact, they can get Dragon Engine back. And then we can't deal with it. We could just Static Prison to keep this off of the battlefield for a little while. And that might be our best bet here. I think we're going to go ahead and Static Prison away the Goblin Engineer. Just get it off the battlefield for now. We'll plan on going and grabbing a Shadowy Backstreet to set up our next draw. Ancient Tomb, okay. 3 mana. A Goblin Engineer. Alright. So they're going to be able to load up their graveyard here pretty well. I think next turn we're probably just going to Wasteland the Ancient Tomb. Or maybe we don't even need to. Like, there is a way that they can just get through this game playing creatures and beating us down. And an Agatha's Soul Cauldron. Okay, I don't actually care about that at all. Alright, I'm a little confused by this. Can be cast by spending mana as though it were mana of any color. I don't know where that is. We spend mana... Oh, to activate abilities of creatures. Okay, so they don't need red mana for this. But we can shut down the Soul Cauldron, no problem. And we might go ahead and still just Wasteland the Ancient Tomb to try to hold off as much mana as possible. Just restrict the raw amount. We'll see what we're drawing off of this. A removal spell to take out the Goblin Engineer would be nice. A Scrubland. I don't think we need another land right now. And we hit an Ocelot Pride. They are eventually going to get this other Goblin Engineer back, and they can start looping things in and out of the graveyard, but I'm not super duper concerned about that yet. We're going to play a Wasteland, just take them off of some raw mana here, and then we are going to drop a No Rod and hope that a Johnny plus Ocelot Pride can do some stuff here. They're going to eat my Ocelot Pride, that's fine. Just use it while they can. They've only got 2 cards in hand. And they could flip this into a Phyrexian Dragon Engine, which unfortunately gets to stick around, but I'm not super concerned about that. However, it does let them loot through their deck pretty well. They had another Ancient Tomb anyways, that's fine. A Goblin Welder, okay. So they are going to get to the point where they can kind of just start flipping things in and out of their graveyard as much as they want now. And they are going to get another Goblin Engineer back shortly. So they're probably sacking the Soul Cauldron to go get Phyrexian Dragon Engine. Yep. I would like some Graveyard Hate here. They do get to discard their hand and draw 3. Chucked another Goblin Engineer. Makes sense. Like I said, some removal would be nice. A source of energy would be nice. Another Scrubland. We will pay just to keep that around for a moment. Well, we're just going to do the whole shebang here. A Johnny, it makes attacking awkward unless they have removal for a Johnny. And drop an Ocelot Pride. Like I said, this does make attacking awkward. They could flip Phyrexian Dragon Engine into their graveyard and then out of it again if they wanted to try to draw some more cards to find removal. I need some Graveyard Hate or some actual removal. Playing another Goblin Engineer to put something in the graveyard. I've just had the all Goblin Engineers draw here. Putting a Grindstone in the graveyard, so they still want to try to combo. Either that or they're just getting it out of their deck so that they don't draw it. Ooh, Untimely Malfunction. That is a problem. Getting it with the Dragon Engine, that's fine. We'll just chump block. This flips a Johnny. And we either need Graveyard Hate, which isn't going to work particularly well anyways, or we need another No Rod. Chrome Mox is not it, and They actually have enough to kill us next turn, but we'll see if they see the line. We just had some very unfortunate draws in general. We'll play Caracas, we'll make a dude, and then we kind of just have to stay back on defense and see if they see the line. I'm assuming they will. They seem to be a competent painter player. Yep, there's the grindstone, so they're going to do the same thing they did in game 1, but I mean, at least we got to pick up game 2. We kind of just drew like absolute shit there, but... And are they doing it in our upkeep then is the question. Probably? Yep, there it is. Alright, yeah, we just kind of didn't really draw great other than our one hate piece, but good game, opponent. On to the next one. Alright, lost the die roll. This is interesting. This is very dependent on what our opponent is doing, but I think in the blind we're going to keep this. Basic planes, passing the turn, so this could be like that mono-white warp deck. This could be something else like Death and Taxes. I think we're going to go ahead and just go grab a basic here to play around Wasteland and just drop Guide of Souls. If it gets pathed, so be it. We'll follow it up with a Voice of Victory next turn. Yep, looks like a Swords to Plowshares. Okay. So I'm leaning toward Death and Taxes here, but you don't see 60-card Death and Taxes too much anymore. This also could be a... Ooh. On human. Okay, so it's definitely Death and Taxes. Oh, no, it's the Warp deck. Okay. And they didn't have anything to follow that up with. Interesting. So we might just go ahead, play a Wasteland, take out their land, play a Chromox with Smallpox, and then play Voice of Victory? Eumidian Hatchery, that is interesting. Okay, well, we're going to Wasteland, try to keep them off of mana. We will Chromox, throw a Smallpox under the Chromox, play a Voice of Victory, and then next turn we might do Eumidian Hatchery, attack Smallpox, sacrifice a token if this Voice of Victory makes it around the battlefield. Wasteland, okay, that's fine. And they're passing the turn. Okay, that's fine. And an Ajani. Ooh, that is actually interesting. So we could take a turn off. Well, let's get in with Voice of Victory first. Get our attack in. I think we are going to take a turn off to go ahead and play Ajani first. And I think we're going to play Shadowy Backstreet, try to get them to crack this Wasteland. I do not want a Lotus Petal. And then we will play Ajani, get a cat, pass the turn. And now we also have something good to sacrifice to Smallpox to be able to flip Ajani. Okay, Caracas is interesting. It's a pseudo removal spell. It just bounces Ajani back to... Ooh, and they're tapping it. Skyclave Apparition. Going after what? Going after the Ajani. Okay. I mean, that's mostly fine. We're probably just going to go ahead and Smallpox here then. Or hear me out. We have another Ajani we can play, which I think is what we're going to do here. And then this also disincentivizes them from blocking our cat. And, hear me out here, we're going to follow this up with a Smallpox to be able to flip our Ajani before they can bounce it. Okay, and our opponent scooped it up to that one. Okay, that was a pretty decisive poxing. This is the mono-white Blink deck. So I think we want to bring in our removal against them. I'm not super worried about counter magic, so I'm tempted to take out some number of Voice of Victories. It's just, do I want to bring in the additional 2 Static Prisons? Like, I like Voice of Victory because it creates red permanents to pair with our Ajani. And they are going to be creature-based, so I feel like we probably do want more removal, but we're bringing in 2 more removal spells. Static Prison is unreliable, unfortunately. I think we'll try this for game 2. Take out 2 Voice of Victories, bring in 2 Otherworldly Lights. And if we go to a game 3, we will adjust accordingly. Alright, we have no sticky mana, otherwise this hand would be great. So we gotta mulligan this. We have 1 mana, reliably? I think I gotta go 1 more, unfortunately. I cannot keep a 1. Well, we're not going any further than this. I guess we are just gonna keep a 1-lander. At this point, unfortunately, Smallpox is going to the bottom. And probably Cabal Therapy, and we just have to hope that we hit lands here. Basic planes from the opponent into an Ocelot Pride. We can exile that. Okay, we hit another land. The question is do we let them get away with getting 1 token off of this Ocelot Pride? We probably have to. Or we can play our Ocelot Pride to try to get a removal spell out of hand, but I think we're just going to play it safe here. We're also probably going to go ahead and go grab a basic Plains here, play around Wasteland. We also have the emergency valve of if they play something ridiculous, we can pitch the Sejani to the March of Otherworldly Light. But we'll just let them get a token for now. Unless they play something scary here. Starfield Shepherd. Alright, I don't think I care about this. Like, it doesn't affect the board at all right now. They're either going to look for a basic Plains or a 1-drop. A Guide of Souls. Okay. We will play Eumidian Hatchery. And then we will pass the turn. We have 2 Orcish Bowmasters. I like that quite a bit. Wasteland. Okay. They can go after the Eumidian Hatchery, but again, I don't super duper care about that. We'll get a dude out of it. And then we will go ahead and just kill the Ocelot Pride. Alright. Well, unfortunately, we are still getting a basic Plains to play around Wasteland. And then we're going to flash in Orcish Bowmasters, kill the Ocelot Pride. And then we can still pitch cast this March of Otherworldly Light, which we might end up doing. Yeah, we're just going to get in with the flyer. I think we're going to see what they do, and we're probably just going to go ahead and pitch cast this March of Otherworldly Light, targeting the Guide of Souls. Another Wasteland. Okay, so we're playing around that. Okay, so we are going to kill the Guide of Souls. Unfortunately, we have to pitch the Ajani. That Voice of Victory is a little annoying, but not the end of the world. We can ambush it if we hit another land. And we do hit a land, but it's not the land I particularly want here. We will play Ocelot Pride. And then we will get in with a flyer. I'm not willing to play out this Wasteland yet. Attacking their Wasteland isn't going to do anything. What is the actual cost for this thing? 5? Okay, that's a juicier target for a Wasteland. Esper Sentinel, that's also fine. That just dies to everything anyways. And a Skyclave Apparition, which I'm assuming is taking our Ocelot Pride. Yep. We are going to go ahead and take the Sticky Cat token off of the battlefield here. Because if we can hit a black source, it allows us to be able to play Orcish Bowmasters. Well, we hit another Wasteland, so we're just going to go ahead and take out more colored mana for right now. I don't like where we're at, but our opponent is in top deck mode, but they have a clock. And we're just not hitting lands. Getting in with everything. I think we are going to go ahead and just keep trying to keep the board a little bit clearer here. We'll give up our Orcish Bowmasters to take out their Esper Sentinel. We're slowly stabilizing the board here. Okay, I like Chrome Mox. This gives me a chance to ambush the Voice of Victory. We will put a Cabal Therapy under here. We will play Wasteland. We will take out your Wasteland. And then we will pass the turn. Ooh, Ophelia? I don't know if we're going to be able to defeat that is the problem. It depends on what... Ooh, and a Guide of Souls. Those were some rips. We're going to see what they try to blink with Felia here. They get their tokens. They get some energy. It's not enough to put anything in the air at the moment. They are trying to blink the Chrome Mox. Well, we have an opportunity to be able... Oh, I can't because of Voice of Victory. I forgot about that. Okay. Yeah, they were just able to out-aggro us that time. I don't think we want to change anything. I think we just go ahead and keep it as is and run it back. Alright, give me a good hand deck. Wasteland, Smallpox, Static Prison, Cabal Therapy. I mean, I don't hate this, but there's no aggro to it, and this is strictly trying to control their hand at this point. What do we name with Cabal Therapy in the blind? Ocelot Pride, Guide of Souls. I think we're going to try to give this a shot here. And we will start out with a Scrubland, a Lotus Petal, and we will Cabal Therapy. I think we're going to name Guide of Souls. And none of these were a hit, but we can keep their hand pretty well stripped here. So, I mean, we'll say, okay, next turn we can go ahead and just Smallpox, or we can start Wastelanding them off of lands, and then try to Smallpox them out of the game. Playing the Witch Bless Meadow and bolting themselves for it. So I'm going to guess this is going to be an Esper Sentinel. Yeah, that's fine. I don't super care about that. We can blow up their land. We hit another Smallpox. I think we're just going to try to keep them off of lands for right now. And then next turn, we can Smallpox and pay for the Esper Sentinel tax if we need to. They drew another Witch Blessed Meadow, bolting it in again. There's the Guide of Souls. That we missed. Didn't even bother attacking. Interesting. Well, there's an Ocelot Pride. We know they can play something next turn. I think what we want to do is play this. I don't think we're going to pay for it. We'll let them draw. We'll take out the Guide of Souls. We'll play Ocelot Pride. If they drop a Johnny next turn, that makes Smallpox a little bit worse. Okay, they're just drawing lands anyways, which means this is probably... No, they're going to warp in a Halia, which means they don't have the mana to be able to... Okay, they just got an Ocelot Pride of their own. Yeah, this is very quickly falling apart here. Like, this is the problem with Smallpox decks, is they do not do well against go-wide decks. We hit a Eumidian Hatchery. That's interesting, at least. I really don't know how this is going to go here. We're going to get in, see if they want to block with anything. They're probably not going to. Ooh, they are going to block with... Ooh, they're double blocking. Triple blocking. Okay. Yes, no, maybe? No, just trading off Ocelot Prides. Okay. They keep, like, switching up their blockers. They assigned all of them, and then none of them, and then all of them. Well, we're going to take out Ocelot Pride. And then we are going to go ahead and Smallpox. We will pay for this. We unfortunately lose a Smallpox. Our opponent probably loses their cat token. They can still play a Johnny, which is annoying, because they've still got a Cavern of Souls in hand. So as long as they don't chuck either of these, they can still play them. They chucked Skyclave Apparition. We'll sack Eumidian Hatchery. They got rid of the Esper Sentinel. So they just want cats to be able to flip a Johnny, it looks like. There's nothing I can do here, so I'm just going to F6. Like, yeah, Pox decks really struggle against go-wide decks like this. Or they're playing a Wasteland. Are they going to play a Johnny, or are they going to try to get me off of mana? Just playing a Johnny, okay. I am not going to block that. I'll take my one. We had a Guide of Souls. Unfortunately, they're going to get their Guide of Souls back now, but we can play a Guide of Souls ourselves. We can attack in with the Insect token. Yeah, like the problem is they're going to get their Guide of Souls back, and then they're going to be able to just start going crazy. Yeah, we just didn't draw well. It is what it is, though. Played a Plains, warping their Starfield Shepherd, so they can find a basic or a 1-drop here. Found an Ocelot Pride, okay. Taking out my Scrubland. And unfortunately, they're also going to get their Ocelot Pride back, or their Guide of Souls back here. We'll take our 2. Yeah, I just don't think there's any way that we get back into this, unfortunately. A Johnny, it at least makes attacking awkward, and it gets me some life and some energy. Unfortunately, it's about a turn too late. We can go ahead and swing in here. I know we've just got 2 of Johnnies staring each other down, but they're going to get an Ocelot Pride. They're going to start getting to go wide here. And an Esper Sentinel, okay. And a Wasteland, yeah, we're just going to scoop it up here. We can't get back into this one. We just didn't draw very well, but, I mean, like I said, these Pox decks have a problem up against go-wide decks like this. In all the variants I've been playing lately, like, I really do think these decks need to have some sort of sweeper in the sideboard, and it just looks like none of them do, so I'm not sure what the logic is, like, why the people constructing these decks aren't putting sweepers in them, but I think if I were to go back and retool this deck instead of playing exactly what Phil did, I definitely put a sweeper in the sideboard, but I'll go a little more in-depth to that in the wrap-up when we get there. But anyways, on to the next one. Alright, I won the die roll. I actually kind of like this. I think we're going to go ahead and keep this. Because we've got our colors kind of rounded out here, I think I am going to play around Wasteland. Go Marsh Flats for basic planes, play Ocelot Pride, and then we can attack their mana, we can attack their hand, we have a Eumidian Hatchery to be able to start ticking up, and it's negated from Ocelot Pride life gain. I'm mulligan to 6. Alright, do what I said here, play the Marsh Flats, crack it, go grab a basic plains, play around Wasteland, play an Ocelot Pride, and then we'll pass the turn. And hope that our opponent is not on some kind of turn 1 combo deck where we should have Thoughtseized first, but I think this is a stronger start to begin with. Pro Mox. So some kind of Stompy deck, or this could be Storm. We're going to see what they put under this Chrome Mox. Echo of Eon, so it is a combo deck of some sort. So we should have let off on Thoughtseize. Looks like it's probably Storm. It's just what variety of Storm is it? Can they turn 1 us, or is this just going to be like a baby Storm turn? Beseech the Mirror. This enough Storm to be able to go off. Song of Creation, do they have a 0-drop to go with it? Okay, well, apparently we should have just thought seized on turn 1, but we'll see if they can keep going. Okay, they do fizzle. That said, I still don't like where we're at. We will play out a Lotus Petal. I think we want to just try to restrict them on mana. Not that it super matters, but they'll probably go get a Surveil land here. So they are at the mercy of the top of their deck, but they get a little bit of selection if they go get like a, whatchamacallit here, Commercial District or some other Surveil land. Rockets Theater, something along those lines. And then we just kind of got to hope that the top of their deck doesn't want to cooperate. They've been to land. Hopefully they top deck another land. Luckily this Mox Opal is not on. Burning Wish. So they need a 0-drop and mana. Massacre. Okay, I guess that's one way to... Yeah, that's a pretty good card. That's going to wipe up our board here. I mean, there's nothing we can do, so we're just going to have 6 through the turn. And since this is free, they get to draw 2 more cards off of it and try to keep the chain going. And they just have Chromox anyways. We're probably dead here. Apparently we should have thought seized on turn 1, but we will wait until they show us the win. They're probably just holding on to this Massacre. Oh, no, there it is. I'd say they're holding on to it till they know they can win, or they can't win, but another land. Fetching with this one. And Tomb. I'm assuming to go throw a wheel in the graveyard. Yep, do they have the mana to be able to wheel is the question. So far, no? Okay, now they have the mana to wheel. We're just gonna scoop it up and go to the next one. I am way too tired to sit through this right now. The chances of them fizzling from here are slim to none. So against our opponent, Deafening Silence in, Null Rod in. We do not need Voice of Victories. We can take those out. We can take out the Swords to Plowshares. Bring in another Static Prison. I think probably just try that. We need a fast Null Rod or a shitload of discard. I think we're just going to try something like this. Alright, let's see what we got here. We have Null Rod, Cabal Therapy, Guide of Souls. I think we're going to keep this. We're going to have to get a little lucky off of this Marsh Flats here. Or this Cabal Therapy to bridge us to turn 2. But I think we're just going to name Beseech the Mirror here. And hope that we can get a tutor out of hand. Okay, well, we're going for a spin anyways, unfortunately, but... And they'll have 1 mana left floating over. And they brought it into the Flood Maws, which is interesting. They'll have 2 mana left over at the end of this. We just gotta hope that their spin is bad, basically. And they drew a Mox Opal for turn. Are we about to get turn 1 again? Well, we're going for a spin, and they've got 3 mana open at the end of all of this. We hit a bunch of Thoughtseizes, which is nice. The question is did they whiff on their spin? Because it is a random 7. Alright, we're still going. Chromox. Binning a Burning Wish under that. Dark Ritual. If they have a tutor, they have the win. 5 mana. Burning Wish. For what? Beseech the Mirror. Yep, that's a win. Alright, well, we just got turn 1 to twice. This has not been going very well. Let's see if we can rally back and get half of our play points here, but it is what it is. On to the next one. Alright, lost the die roll. We got a nice little aggro energy start here, so I think we're going to keep it. Just hope we're not up against another combo deck. Ancient Tomb. Chalice on 1. Okay, well, that shuts down a good chunk of our hand. We do have Static Prison to be able to... Well, actually, no. Static Prison doesn't even get rid of that. I digress. Well, we're just going to restart the game here. We can't do anything on turn 1 anyways. We'll try to get to turn 2 and play this Ajani Forest. So some sort of green stompy deck. Maybe Initiative? We hit a Eumidian Hatchery. I think we're going to play that and start ticking it up. Another Ancient Tomb. 3 mana. 4 mana. Yeah, we're not beating that right now. Well, there's a world where we might if we draw a Smallpox. So I'm going to let this go for now. We do not hit a Smallpox. They have mana. Yeah, we're not getting back into this one. We can't beat a turn 2 Underbound Adventurer with a Chalice on 1. We just can't do it. With that said, March of Otherworldly Lights in. I want to bring in more Static Prisons, but like Chalice on 1 just shuts us down hard. I think we're going to get rid of some number of Voice of Victories. Like, we don't really have to worry about our opponent playing stuff on our turn. Just bring in some removal that can get around Chalice. And it's removal for Chalice as well. Let's try that. Alright, you can call that last game an early scoop, but like Chalice on 1, all of our removal is shut off. They already have the initiative. Alright, we will go ahead and keep this. We are going to start off with the Thoughtseize and see what our opponent's working with over there. And we have plenty of lands and plenty of stuff to chuck here. There's an Elvish Spirit Guide, an Abrupt Decay, an Endurance, and a bunch of lands. I think we're just going to take the Abrupt Decay for now. I was really hoping to snag a Chalice there, but Ancient Tomb, no follow-up. Eumidian Hatchery. I think we will play Hatchery, get down our Voice of Victory now. Next turn is when the scary stuff can happen. So it looks like they're black-green initiative, which is interesting. It could be Jund, and we just haven't seen any red mana yet, but the black initiative cards aren't very good. Like, there's that Underraven thing. Sorcerer's Spyglass. Okay. I don't have anything with activated abilities. I mean, I guess you could name Marsh Flats. They did name Marsh Flats. We don't super care about that at the moment. And knowing what's in their hand, I don't think it's worth smallpoxing yet. Like, maybe it is. Because we can just... it actually probably is now that I think about it. Because, like, we can't do anything with this Marsh Flats anyways. We will chuck the Marsh Flats. We have a Swords. We'll sack one of the tokens that's going to go away anyway. Sack the Eumidian Hatchery to get 2 more tokens in its place. They decided to get rid of the Ancient Tomb. And then we still have Swords to Plowshares up. We have Orcish Bowmasters up if we need it. An initiative creature we can handle. Because we can just Swords it, then we can take the initiative. Playing the other Ancient Tomb. Okay, so this looks like it's an initiative creature. It is. So we can Swords that, and then we take the initiative. Found a forest, so we'll pass the turn. And then we will go ahead and Swords the Undermountain Adventurer. We get the... And the opponent scooped it up to that, to us taking the initiative, so... Let's just do that again. We really just need to fade a Chalice on 1, and then we're pretty good. So I think we're just going to run it back and hope to fade Chalice on 1. Okay, so we have an answer to Chalice on 1 here. I actually don't hate this hand. The mana's a little wonky, but I think we're going to go ahead and keep this. Hope our opponent's on a slower hand. They're already mulliganing. And if they just Chalice on 1, we actually have an answer for it, so I'm not super concerned. Alright, opponent kept on 6. Basic Forest. 3 mana. Chalice on 1. Okay, so they spent their turn to Chalice on 1, and we have an easy way to deal with that. Question is a Johnny going to be better, or is Guide of Souls going to be better? Let's play a Wasteland, play a Chrome Mox. I think we're going to put a Johnny under this. We'll see what they do, and we can march away the Chalice, or we can pitch Guide of Souls to be able to march for 3. We do need some black mana, though. Alright, they didn't do anything, so we're just going to go ahead and march away the Chalice. X equals 1. There's black mana. Play a Guide of Souls. Let's Thoughtseize. Plague Engineer, Ice Till Explorer. They can't play the Ice Till Explorer yet. So let's take the Plague Engineer. Take out their Bayou. So they'll only have 2 mana next turn. And then next turn we can either Orcish Bowmasters or we can Cabal Therapy away the Ice Till Explorer. There's Urborg. Did they find an Abrupt Decay? Yes, they did. And they're going after the Guide of Souls. They can't have 2 green mana next turn. So we'll just play another Guide of Souls. Do we care about the Ice Till Explorer at the moment? I mean, we might as well put them into top deck mode. Like, why not? Take the Ice Till Explorer out of hand. They're in top deck mode with 2 mana. We're in top deck mode with 2 mana, but our 2 mana casts everything in our deck. Did they find another Abrupt Decay? Yes, they did. Okay. Well, we have an Orcish Bowmasters, and they're in top deck mode. We hit a Karakas. We will play the Karakas, and then we'll just flash in Orcish Bowmasters at end step. I would like to have some protection against whatever our opponent can do here. A Chalice on 1, that's fine. We have a 2-drop in hand. So we're going to flash in Orcish Bowmasters, hit you. And we hit a Wasteland, so let's just keeping them off of mana. Attack for 2. Pass the turn. They're top decking with 1 mana. We're top decking with 3. And we have a clock on the battlefield. We'll just go ahead and play the Lotus Petal. Get up to 4 mana if we need it for something. This is admittedly a much slower clock than I would like it to be. They hit an Ancient Tomb, so that's a little scary. They could play a Spirit Guide and just completely shut down our board at the moment. And next turn, they could have 4 mana. We are just hitting lands, unfortunately. We're going to go ahead and get in and hold this back, make them think maybe we have something. Like, if they're just sitting on an initiative threat and they're waiting for another mana source, that's a little scary, but it looks like they're not hitting it yet. There's a Smallpox. I do not hate that at all. Get them down some more mana. And I think we're going to go ahead and just Smallpox here. We will sack the Orc Army token. I think we're going to go ahead and... I think we're going to hold on to the Karakas. Okay, they had another Chalice of the Void. But we're going to hold on to the Karakas just in case we find a Johnny. We can cast it, bounce it, replay it. There's a Swords to Plowshares we can't play. Unfortunately, we halved our clock, but it is what it is. We hit another Karakas. That doesn't do anything. As long as they stay off of mana, we're good. Alright, there's an Urborg. So they have 2 mana now. An Ocelot Pride we can't cast, so unfortunately they are rebuilding. This is a very slow clock, unfortunately. Frenzied Baloth. Okay. And they're just holding it back for now. Guide of Souls we can't cast. Yeah, this one's unfortunately slipping away. We had a really good start, but then just drew like shit and they hit another Chalice. Are they going to start getting in is the question. Looks like no for now. Another Guide of Souls we can't do anything with. Alright, they're at potentially 4 mana now if they have another Spirit Guide, but they've used 2 of them. That is a Smallpox. Unfortunately, I feel like we need to do this. We are going to go ahead and Smallpox here. I think we're going to get rid of the redundant Guide of Souls. Do they have an Orcish Bowmasters? Or are they going to Abrupt Decay something? They're going to Abrupt Decay our Chrome Mox. Okay, that's fine. We will chuck a Guide of Souls. We'll lose Karakas. They chucked an Undermountain Adventurer. We'll play another Karakas, and we'll pass the turn and hope that we draw some 2-drops or we draw our other March of Otherworldly Light. They hit another land. Looks like they're doing something. Just fetching a basic? Yes. Thoughtseize we can't cast. Another Frenzied Baloth. Okay, they have a clock now, and we don't. We hit a Marsh Flats. We can crack that for a Surveil land to try to get some sort of selection. Ooh, they chose not to attack, afraid of a Bowmasters. We do not want another Ocelot Pride. Okay, there is an Orcish Bowmasters. That is a way to deal with Frenzied Baloth. Are they going to attack? Still no. Okay, well, we will go ahead and drop the Orcish Bowmasters, put them to 4. Ancient Tombs come at a real cost to them now. Okay, this is the type of thing that I needed here. Let's play a Voice of Victory. And then I attack with everything. They go to 3. And then next turn, as long as they don't have any answers, we're wide enough to kill them. Block the token, that's fine. 4th land. Do they have an Undermountain Adventurer? We can still swing around it, get the initiative. They can't crack this. Oh, they had another Abrupt Decay. Okay. I think that's like all 4 Abrupt Decays now. And they're still not getting in. That's fine-ish. Wasteland. Well, let's keep them off of 4 mana. We're not going to get in. We can't. We're kind of just staring at each other. I still got 2 more Orcish Bowmasters in the deck. Sorcerer's Spyglass. Okay. I mean, again, there's nothing in our hand that matters about that. We would really like our other March of Otherworldly Light, and we're almost halfway through our deck and still haven't seen it yet. That is a Smallpox. I had to think about it for a second, but I think we have to. Let's get rid of Thoughtseize. Put him to 2. We will lose our Karakas. They chose Wasteland off of Sorcerer's Spyglass. Passing the turn. We just need some more 2-drops. Okay, there's a 2-drop I like. Play a Johnny. This puts 2 bodies on the board, one of which is lethal. And if they kill the lethal one, I have a token engine. And we took them down. Holy shit, that was grindy as hell. Okay. Got a win on the board. That was an insane match. On to the final round. All right, final round. Up against Stryfo, who normally plays mid-range stuff, which is kind of what this deck is supposed to be good against. And I like this hand. We're going to go ahead and keep this. I think we're going to start out with Thoughtseize, see what's going on over there, see if it's safe to play the Shadowy Backstreet on 2. Stryfo kept on 7 as well. Okay, oh, they are on a brew. Mox Opal, Pinnacle Emissary, Weapons Manufacturing, Arcbound Ravager, and an Urza's Saga. So we can take the Mox Opal, or we can just take the Pinnacle Emissary. I think we just take the Pinnacle Emissary here. Make it so they can't really pop off on turn 1. Like, this Mox Opal isn't doing anything on turn 1. Great Furnace. We have a removal spell for the Arcbound Ravager, and they're just passing the turn, which is fine. I would like untapped white mana here. That is untapped white mana. So what, next turn they can Arcbound, they can Mox Opal, Urza Saga, Arcbound Ravager. Think we're going to play Silent Clearing. Pass the turn, plan on dropping Orcish Bowmasters, and then next turn I can go ahead and Smallpox with impunity, basically. Playing Weapons Manufacturing, then playing Mox Opal? How does this work? Whenever a non-token creates an artifact, when this token leaves the battlefield, it deals 2 damage. So they still need an outlet for these. Okay, so they have some outlets with Arcbound Ravager now. So they can do quite a bit of damage to us this way. But they're not going to. So we will just flash in Orcish Bowmasters. Deal some damage to the opponent here. There is an Ocelot Pride. Is it any target or each opponent? 2 damage to any target. So I think we're going to play Shadowy Backstreet. Let's keep the Marsh Flats on top. And I think we're going to try to bait them into playing this Arcbound Ravager. If they just go the Construct route, that's a little annoying. And they are just passing the turn. Okay. That's mostly fine. Let's play that. So what? They can make a Construct. I think we're going to go ahead and play Voice of Victory and Ocelot Pride. Hold up Swords to Plowshares. Because the big thing we want is to get rid of this Arcbound Ravager. They're going to be able to mow down our board, but then they're going to be left with nothing if that's what they want to do. Or they're just going to make another Construct. They are down to 1 mana after this unless they have another land. Grabbed a Lotus Petal. Make a bunch of munitions. There's a Mox Opal. Is this enough to kill us is the question. Wrymouth Viper. Okay. And they're just mowing down our board. Yeah, we're not coming back from this one. Damn, that is a cool-ass brew. That is not what I was expecting at all. Okay. I guess what our opponent's doing? I guess no rods in. That's probably about it. Like, what do we want to take out for the no rods? I don't super know what's in their deck. So I think we're going to take out the Cabal Therapies, and we'll take out 1 Orcish Bowmasters. This is a hell of a cool brew. But yeah, I guess just bring in the Artifact Hate and try it like that. I was not expecting a Rotmouth Viper at all. Alright, well let's see if we can have a stronger start here. All white cards and no white mana. Gotta ship it. Okay, I like this. We can keep this. I think we're going to put the Smallpox to the bottom for right now. And start out with a Thoughtseize into a Null Rod and hope that we draw white mana. Opponent mulligans to 6 as well. We're going to start out with a Thoughtseize. What is this? Ishkamir Iron Eater, affinity for artifacts, and a weapons manufacturing. We have an answer for the Urza Saga if they want to play it. I think we just take the weapons manufacturing because we can shut down the Mox Opal. And if they start out with Urza Saga, they're not going... Ooh, and that's an artifact land, so that's going to shut that down as well. Note, it is indestructible, so wastelanding it does literally nothing. I was playing a mono-white Bomberman build, or a Boros Bomberman build that also had that little synergy, and I got people so many times with it. They tried to wasteland my dual land, and it just did nothing. And this also shuts down their Great Furnace as well. And then we draw Smallpox. We'll just play the Shadowy Backstreet. Another Wasteland. I don't hate that, so we'll put it on top. And pass the turn. We're basically just saving this Wasteland for when they want to play their Urza Saga. And their Saga. I probably should have blew it up in response to the trigger, but we also know we're getting another Wasteland, so we can just go ahead and kill this. Like, I don't think there was anything they could do with one colorless mana, but you never know. Another Urza Saga. We are going to actually blow this up before it can learn how to make mana, just in case. And we hit another Null Rod, so let's go ahead and attack. And then we will play Null Rod number 2, just in case they have, like, single artifact removal. Alright, and Stryfo scooped it up to that. Okay, got that under control. Let's just have a repeat of that, basically. I don't know if there's anything else we want to bring in. Maybe we want to bring in the March of Otherworldly Lights instead of Static Prison, because this can get rid of the weapons manufacturing is pretty easy, and we'll trim one more Bowmaster, and we'll try that. Alright, what do we got here? We got Thoughtseize, Wastelands. I think we can keep this. We will keep this. Stryfo kept on 7 as well. Let's see how fast they can start off. Urza Saga, Lotus Petal, weapons manufacturing right off of the bat, into an Ornithopter. Okay. Okay, getting a bunch of weapons onto the battlefield already. Another Ajani. They have 1 mana. I think we're going to go ahead and just restart the game right now. And they had another one. Okay. Can't really do anything at the moment. The amount of times that we've Wastelanded an Urza Saga and our opponent just has another one this league has been kind of insane. Spending some mana to do something. Into a Rottenmouth Viper. Okay, that's going to do a bunch of damage to us, but we can kill a Rottenmouth Viper. What is the option here? Lose 4 life or discard a card. We will discard a Ajani, because we can just kill the Rottenmouth Viper. Alright. They have 1 card in hand, an Urza Saga on the battlefield. Going up to 2 cards. We can play an Ajani or we can Thoughtseize. I think we are going to go ahead and slam Ajani here. Get a clock on the battlefield. We are very low on life already, unfortunately. Loading some mana with the Urza Saga. They could have like a Pithing Needle or something to name the backside of this. We also have the world where we have Karakas to be able to basically infinitely bounce a Johnny. Found a Lotus Petal. Into a Lava Spur Boots. Into another Urza Saga. Okay. And they're playing something. Abrading the Ajani. Okay, well, they're empty-handed. They aren't going to be able to make any constructs off of this, so I'm actually pretty okay with this. Play a Karakas, play a Lotus Petal, and get in with the cat. Opponent is top decking with 1 mana, and unless they have soul lands, they're not going to be able to make constructs off of the Saga. Into a land, okay. I think we're going to go ahead and crack the Silent Clearing for a draw. Into a Smallpox. I don't really want to play that right now. And a Null Rod. Okay, I like that quite a bit. Get in with the Cat Warrior. Play another Eumidian Hatchery. And drop a... Oh, I was supposed to crack the Lotus Petal to do this. My bad. It's whatever. And now their Urza Saga is going to go away without creating any tokens. Good game, Stryfo. Good game. Managed to rally back in the back half of the league. And Stryfo was kind enough to send me the list. So sometime in the future, you all will be seeing this on the channel. So overall, it was a pretty rough league, at least outside of that Storm match. Even the matches that we lost, it felt like we at least had a chance, and they were well fought, and they weren't just complete blowouts. And I mean, even that Storm match, like, we got essentially turn 1 game 1, and then literally turn 1 game 2, and it's just something that happens in Legacy, so I don't really think there's much we can glean from that match in particular. But I will say, after having played multiple variants of Pox lately, testing out Eumidian Hatchery, the Golgari Lone Pox version is just the most competitive version. It's resilient, it's fast, it is able to patch the holes that all these other versions have in them. And if you are serious about playing Pox on a competitive level, please play the Golgari Lone Pox version. This version was fun, but I will say it kind of felt like it had an identity crisis. And if I remember the Thraben U video correctly, Phil kind of said the same thing. It feels like it half wants to be an energy deck, half wants to be a Pox deck, and because it's not going whole hog in either direction, both plans are significantly weakened when you're trying to thread the needle between them. I do like that you have a lot of token synergies with the energy package to be able to sack things to Cabal Therapy and Smallpox without really missing real cards. But since it doesn't lean all the way into one strategy or the other, it is inherently weak at both. And as I mentioned during one of those matches, the White Warp match, these Pox decks really do struggle up against go wide decks like the White Warp deck, like Energy, like Death and Taxes, because all of your removal is just one for one stuff. I really do think that these Pox decks should look into having some sort of sweeper in the sideboard going forward. If it's a Toxic Deluge, a Damnation, just something along those lines. Just because, as I said, all of our removal is just one for one removal, and if the opponent can go super wide, super fast, you're just not going to be able to catch up, especially in this version, not having access to a Tabernacle to be able to wipe the board up after you've eliminated all of your opponent's lands to be able to play for or pay for the Tabernacle tax. But I will say the deck was fun when it did its thing. It just didn't really do it consistently, in my opinion. Like I said, it kept feeling like I'd get one half of the deck and it was the wrong half for the situation. I will also say we saw that Static Prison was extremely unreliable as a removal spell because we aren't whole hog on the energy generation. And the only way you can get more energy is with a Guide of Souls and then continue to hit creatures. So I think main deck, I'd probably swap out Static Prison for another Swords to Plowshares if you wanted to try to make this deck work, just so you have a more reliable permanent removal that isn't relying on an engine that only like half of the game plan of the deck is built around. But it was fun. It definitely felt like there's potential here with some changes, but I would still say if you want to be competitive, either lean fully in on the energy plan or lean fully in on the Pox plan, and don't try to do this kind of half and half thing. But that is Legacy Cat Pox. It was a ton of fun to play, despite a kind of disappointing record. But I hope you all had as much fun watching as I did playing. I will catch you all in the next video. And as always, stay salty. Thank you for watching the video. I hope you like what you saw. If you did, do me a favor, hit that like and sub button below. They are free ways to support the channel. And drop a comment, let me know what you like. Any kind of feedback you got, your opinions on my gameplay, the decks that I play, any of that kind of stuff. If you really like what you see, go ahead and drop by the Patreon. Become a patron, get to read some of my tournament reports and some stuff going on outside of just Magic in my life that I'm going to start putting over there as kind of my own personal blog. Also, you can do donation deck lists over there, just the price of a league if you have a specific deck you want to see, or you have an idea you want me to brew around, something like that, go ahead and do that. Nothing is required. It's always appreciated, though. Any donations go directly back into the channel, covering stuff such as leagues for donation decks or the rental program that I'm a part of. I am a small-time YouTuber. I'm doing this for fun. I really hope you all like what you saw. I truly appreciate you all stopping by. I will catch you all in the next video, and as always, stay salty.